Assalamu alaikum dear students, hope you all doing well. Today we are going to start a new chapter, that's body movements, and in this chapter you will come to know about what movement is, what's locomotion. You will come to know about the skeletal system in human beings, the muscular system in human beings, and the locomotion, the type of locomotion in different organisms. So first of all, we'll start with the definition of movement and locomotion. What's movement and what's locomotion? If we talk about movement, movement simply means change in the position of any part of the body. So it includes certain parts of the body. For example, if we move our hands, it's movement. If we our heart is actually beating, that's movement. We chew something by moving our jaws, it's again movement. But when we talk about locomotion, locomotion means the movement of whole body, so it includes the whole body of an organism from one place to another. It means movement of an organism from one place to another. That means when an organism changes its position from one place to another, it's called as locomotion. But when it moves its only certain parts, it's called as just movement. When we talk about movement and locomotion, movement is shown by all living organisms including plants. But when we talk about locomotion, only animals show locomotion. That means only animals can move from one place to another, while as plants are fixed at a certain place. When we talk about locomotion in animals, there are different ways by which different animals move from one place to another. For example, some animals walk while others run, some swim and others fly. Now let's take a look at the importance of locomotion. Why organisms, why animals show locomotion, why they move from one place to another. The importance of locomotion is, first of all, it's to find food and water. They need food and water for their survival, and they need to move from one place to another in search of this food and water. Another importance is they need to protect themselves. They need to protect themselves from enemies or predators. So that's why they need to move from one place to another. For example, if we talk about a deer, it's a prey for various carnivores like tiger. So a deer needs to run away from the tiger so that it can protect itself, while as a tiger has to run after its prey, that's deer, so that it can get its food. Another importance of locomotion is to find shelter. And they need to find shelter for laying eggs or giving birth to their babies, a place where they can protect their offsprings. So this is another importance of locomotion. Another one is to move from an unfavorable environment to a favorable environment. For example, at certain times the environment is not favorable for some organisms, so they need to move from one place to another. That's what we mean by to move from an unfavorable environment to a favorable one. So this was about the importance of locomotion. So animals need to move from one place to another to get their food and water, to protect themselves, to find shelter, or to move from an unfavorable environment to a favorable one. When we talk about locomotion in humans, it's actually coordinated by two organ systems rather. You already know what an organ system is. We have studied about that in our previous in the previous chapter. So these two organ systems are skeletal system and muscular system. Skeletal system and muscular system. First of all, we will try to find out what skeletal system actually is. Skeletal system is actually the framework of all the bones in our body That means our body is made up of different bones. We have different bones in our body. So all the bones are included in a system that's called as skeletal system. And the framework of these bones is called as the skeleton. When we talk about an adult human being, it has 206 bones. It has 206 bones. While as when we talk about a child, it has around 300 bones. Why this number of bones decrease with time? It's because these bones fuse together and their number is reduced. So this is why the number of bones is less in an adult as compared to a child. Now let's talk about the functions of skeletal system. What are the various functions of skeletal system? This is the picture actually you can see here. This is the skeletal system. This is the skeletal system. This is how our skeletal system looks like. These are all bones of our body, which are 206 in number. Now let's talk about their function. What is the function of this very particular skeletal system? First of all, they give shape and support to the body. You can see our body shape is almost like this. These bones, they provide a place for the attachment of muscles. Muscles are attached on these very particular bones, this very particular skeletal system. So that's what we mean by it gives shape and support to our body. Protection of delicate organs like brain and heart. You can see here, this is the skull, and inside the skull lies our brain. That means this brain is protected by the skull, or our heart is inside this rib cage. So it protects our delicate organs like lungs, brain, heart. You can see here in the picture. Another important function is movement of our body. It helps in the movement of our body. You know that the skeletal system has various joints like this or this. By moving these joints, we can move from one place to another, or we can move our organs. That's what we mean by movement of our body. Another important function is production of blood cells. Blood cells, that means red blood cells and white blood cells. These are actually formed inside these bones. Inside these bones, there is a soft material which is called as bone marrow, and this bone marrow actually produces blood cells, that's RBCs and WBCs. So this is another important function of our skeletal system. So broadly speaking, the functions of skeletal system in our body is it gives shape and support to our body. It gives protection to the delicate organs of our body like brain, like heart, lungs, liver. And it helps in the movement of our body. And the bone marrow which is present inside the bones helps in the production of blood cells, that is RBCs, yani red blood cells, or WBCs, means white blood cells. So this was a brief introduction about this chapter. In the next lecture, I'll tell you about this skeletal system in detail. We will talk about the various parts of the skeletal system one by one in detail, like we have to talk about skull, the backbone or the spine, the rib cage, the limbs. So in the coming lectures, I'll tell you inshallah about this skeletal system in very detail. So this is it for now. Thank you.